Hello, Colin. Thank you for your time. Very much enjoyed Christmas at the Holiday Inn. First of the seasonal films that we've had landing in our inbox this year. So before we get into that, the first thing I was going to ask you is, from your own point of view, what is your favourite Christmas film?
Oh, what is my favorite Christmas film? That's a tricky one.
Yeah.
Uh, one of those ones I need notice of.
Sorry.
Oh, what's that one with I would go that bloke in who was in what perhaps the
Uh,
most famous one with Cary Grant. No,
Well, I was
not
going
that.
to say, is it? It's
Jimmy
a Wonderful
Stewart.
Life.
Jimmy Stewart.
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
The one.
Ev-
It's a Wonderful Life is my favorite Christmas film.
Yeah, I think it's mine too. It's kind of always elicit tears.
Yeah.
But there you go. So, right, with this film, then you've got an extensive back catalogue of films. And apart from, I know you did A Christmas Carol a few years ago, but I'm not aware of you having done any other Christmas films in your career. Is there a reason for that, and why did you choose this one?
Well, as always in cases like this, it's because nobody ever asked me to, I think.
Right.
I've done lots of Christmas stage shows, like 30 odd pantomimes, um, including I've done A Christmas Carol, which I'm about to do on stage this year, actually, for a week before Christmas in a theatre near you. I'm giving my Scrooge along with Peter Purvis's Charles Dickens on stage, done like a radio play.
Yeah.
But in terms of films, you're quite right. I haven't. It never occurred to me. And why did I choose this one? Because it was offered to me.
Fair enough.
And I read it and I liked it. I thought it was charming.
So it's great to see you in this kind of film because your screen persona is always quite avuncular and endearing, and you're paired with uh, uh, Anita Dobson in
Yeah.
this, and you're a great combination. And you've both got extensive back catalogues and careers in theatre and film. You've got this subsidiary love story. Do you have a shorthand to get into those kind of storylines now? Is it easy because you know one another?
I suppose it is subsidiary. I didn't think of it in those terms, even though the other young ones, the good looking ones, are on screen more. I saw it as the center of the film.
Quite
Um,
right, too. Quite right.
um, it was a rare opportunity for me. I don't often get those kind of parts. And I rather loved it, particularly working with Anita, who I'd never worked with before. I'd met fleetingly at, the kind of events where people like us go, oh, hello, how are you? Nice to meet you. Um, but she is one of the nicest people I've ever worked with. She's just charming and delightful, does the job, oof, you know, press the button and you've got a superb actress there. And she was a joy to work with, and it was a rather sweet little meeting and developing of a relationship with a person. Um, I watched it for the first time last night because it's available on download now. So I downloaded it. I paid to see myself. Can you believe that? Um, and I thought I'll watch a bit of it before I go to bed. Well, I watched all of it because it's the kind of stuff I quite quietly like. Um, I'm not heavily into all the um, uh, be careful watching this because it's a bit scary, a bit horrible. There's zombies in it everywhere. No, not my cup of tea. I like Christmas at the Holiday Inn, and it was everyone in it was charming. It was a low budget film, and it was done quickly, but it was done with great care and affection, and I am quietly proud of it.
Now, like so many sort of Christmas films, they're never shot at Christmas. They're, invariably they're kind of shot at the height of summer or something like that. Was that the case with this one?
Absolutely the case. It was shot at the height of summer. Most of my stuff was shot down in Somerset. Um, so the summer scenes were all genuine because
Yeah.
that's what it was. All the frosty, snowy, Christmassy stuff was shot in at the same time of year. That's showbiz.
It can't be easy though. I know obviously it's the power of acting and whatnot, but it can't be easy when, it's the middle of August, the sun is blazing and there are Christmas trees around to get into that frame of mind that you are doing a seasonal film.
But to be honest, it's perfectly easy. Um, Acting, which I've been doing now for, gosh, 50 odd years. Um, yeah, coming up for 60 years. Uh, it is about pretending. Was it easy getting into believing you were in Rome when you were doing Julius Caesar? Yep,
Yeah.
because that's what we do. Um, and I've uh, lived through enough Christmases to know what it feels like and what goes on. So I know what the world outside is really like and what you are filming have always been entirely different. And that's what we do.
So with this film, I've noticed that there were two directors. There was Adam Wilson and
Monica
Monika
Gergelova.
Gurgulova. I'm glad you said that because I was how to pronounce it. You don't often get sort of duos directing. I know you've got like the Cohen brothers or the Russo brothers and so on and so forth. But how did that work on set?
It worked extremely well. Adam was the kind of always there director, and Monica, who was also the producer, um, had creative input, and it was always excellent. But she wasn't the kind of always there behind the camera person. I suppose, because she had artistic as well as productorial a role to play. So Adam was the guy who does all the shots and does all that, and Monica was the kind of checking on the storyline character and how it was done by the actors person as well. It went very well. Went very well.
Now, obviously, we can't talk to you without obviously mentioning that role, Doctor Who.
Yep.
So I always enjoyed your incarnation of Doctor Who, but the
There was an
impression.
implication in that others.
Well, so well, maybe this is where I'm going with it. The impression that I got was that um, I felt that you were quite dealt with quite poorly towards the end of your stint in the 80s. But your enthusiasm for the roles it seems undiminished over the subsequent decades. But in retrospect, uh, how how do you regard how it all sort of came to an end and the scenes and the regeneration into the next Doctor, that scene, things like that, now that a fair decades have gone by.
Well, in retrospect, a lot more calmly than I did at the time. Um, Having been an actor, I mean, I've been an actor for a long time, and I'd had been an actor for a long time then, so
Yeah.
I knew the vicissitudes of the profession, and that you were always at the beck and call of the whims of people you hardly ever meet up at
Yeah.
the top of the fragile Christmas tree. And in this case, it was Michael Grade, who never liked the programme. He was on record as not liking the programme before he set foot at the BBC.
Yeah.
I saw an interview with him where he decided that the BBC was stuck in a time loop, churning out tired old rubbish like Come Dancing and Doctor Who. So it was no surprise when he came there that he had an attitude about it. And I kind of caught the flack, really. And I've had information since then that it wasn't me that was being aimed at, it was the producer and the programme. I was just in the front line. Who knows? Who knows? Good gag. Um, Looking back on it, uh, mercifully, I've had a company called Big Finish that's been doing Doctor Who audios,
Yeah.
not something you want on a film website, but audios, and I've done about 200 of them for 2-hour dramas on
Yeah.
audio, everything except the vision, really,
Yeah.
which are brilliant and brilliantly written and brilliantly produced. So my Doctor has endured, and there was a time when I'd done more. Excuse me,
It's okay.
chronic plague. There was a time when I'd done more Doctor Who stories than any other actor
Yeah.
because of those. I think they've caught up now. So even though the change to Sylvester was uncomfortable because I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Um, and Sylvester has never let me forget that, and says he got lost in my coat for a few years or something. But I always tell him it wasn't a real regeneration, so he's not a real doctor. So we have fun with that. But no, it was wrong time, wrong place for me. Um, but the fans and the viewers have always been very kind. The Doctor Who fan club made me their president, which they had an open vote, and they could have picked any of us, and they chose me, which has always meant quite a lot to me,
Yeah.
because the people who really love the program uh, showed that they respected my contribution.
So, in your long career, as you say, you've been acting now in the business for 50, almost 60 years. Uh, is there a role where that you've turned down and in retrospect you thought, I really should have taken that role?
Yeah, I was talking to somebody else the other day, and I said I should have taken Obi-Wan Kenobi because Alec Guinness did rather well out of it. But it's a joke, by the way.
Right, I was going to say that's news. That's
I
news to me.
loved that pause of astonishment that you had there. Um, no, the only roles I've turned down, I've never regretted actually. I've been offered a few films lately which are in an area which, well, I don't like watching them. Films with violence and darkness of a,
Yeah,
well, I say like things like zombies.
yeah,
I can't be doing with all that. I don't like watching them. I find it unsettling. I've done horror films and I've done thrillers and
yeah.
things like that, but there are some every now and then that I think my rule of thumb is: would I be happy if one of my daughters watched it? And if they wouldn't, then I don't do it.
That's a good measure to lead your career by. So then, finally, then, and we ask all actors this actually, going right all the way back. Can you remember the very first film that you ever saw on the big screen, and what was it?
Possibly not the very first, but my parents used to take me to our local cinema down the road in Higher Blakely in Manchester. It's a cinema that's been demolished now
Yep.
in order to build the M62, I think. Um, and every now and then they used to take me to see a film. And this, when I was of the age where you could go and see A films with your parents,
Yeah.
took me to see Rear Window by Alfred Hitchcock,
Hitchcock. Yeah.
which was the scariest thing I have ever seen, because it connected to my age then, which was presumably, I don't know, 13, 14.
Yeah, I think Rear Window was the late 56, 58, something like that.
Was it?
Yeah.
So, well, that's it. I'd have been, if it was 56, I'd have been 13. Um, and that night, as I was lying in bed, uh, Rear Window played heavily in my imagination. And there were daddy longlegs dancing in the light of the
Yeah.
sodium lamp outside our house, reflected on the ceiling, which has nothing to do with the film. But I remember being awake all night watching daddy longlegs, who have freaked me out ever since by association with that film, in which you see nothing.
Yeah.
The
All by suggestion.
Yeah, he's in his wheelchair with his broken legs, and he thinks he's seen a murder, and the man who's done it spots him from the other side of the quadrangle that they all live in, and it creeped me out. It's a brilliant film,
Yeah.
and that's the genius of Hitchcock, of course. So that may not have been the first film I went to see, but it's the first one I actually remember as vividly as that. No, I could watch it now, but I choose not to. Um, Interesting, isn't it? The power of the medium of film.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Hitchcock fan, and I like that spate of films that you had: Rear Window, Vertigo, North by
Yeah,
Northwest, and obviously ending with Psycho. It's a spectacular run of films.
yeah. And there's two bits of Psycho I've still never seen.
Really?
Well, when the chair turns round in the cellar
Right.
and going up the stairs,
Oh, okay. Why?
I do that.
Oh,
The first time I saw it, I do that, and every time since I do that.
Colin, I think you can do it now. I think you're old enough now that
I think I could.
you can handle it. Colin, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you ever so much for your time, and congratulations on the film. I think it's destined to become a bit of a seasonal favourite.
I do hope so. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.